Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavatthaye Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jagat is Nama Rupa Prasarana. Only words and their meanings. And the cause of this is Avranodya Parashaktihi Sa Samsarasya Karanam. Maya. Because it's Shakti Dvayam seems to fill our minds with an idea of a real Jagat. Physical, subtle, all of them inclusive. Having seen this much, what is it that Maya appears to create? One word often used is Vyavaharika Satyam. What is Vyavaharika? Whatever I project is called Pratibhasika. If I see the snake and all the reactions are with respect to snake, fear, aversion, whatever else. Or similarly, in the case of a Shuktika Rajat, mother of pearl, I see silver. I only see silver. That silver is my projection. In the case of rope and the sarpa, the reaction is to run away. In the case of Shuktika Rajatam, mother of pearl, and seeing silver on that, the reaction is to run towards it and say, I got some silver. This is what is called Pratibhasika. The projection that the jiva makes. Jiva Shrishtam Jagat. How can jiva make this kind of projection? It has to be on something. There must be a base on which you make this projection. Whether it is a Shuktika or the Rajju, that base has to be there. So all Pratibhashika projection Satyam, projected Satyam, are based on something which is more Satyam than this, if you want, a very peculiar expression. Nothing called more Satyam and less Satyam, but these are relative terms. To the individual who sees the Sarpa, it is real. And therefore the reaction. To the person who sees the silver, where there is no silver, it's real. This is also Maya. It's something which is not there and make it appear as if it is there. Or ignore something, not see something which is there. It's called Maya, magic. Like all these people on TV, there are some wonderful magicians who come. They perform magic which looks impossible. Through a solid bottle, you will tap a coin, the coin will go in. How did it go in? I don't know. He will make things appear which are not there. Like that, Maya creates these illusions or makes us create these illusions, or in our minds create the illusion. We don't know the trick. How did that magician put that coin through a solid glass into the bottle? I don't know. But it looks like magic. It is magic. How did Maya make me believe that there's a snake and I have to run away from it? Magic. There is no snake. How did the fellow show there's an empty hat, pull out a rabbit out of the hat? I don't know. Magic. This Maya Shakti that we have seen in the previous class, Agatita Ghatita Patiyasi Maya. Maya Panchakam. Agatita Ghatita. Make something which is not happening as if it is happening. Make the impossible possible. That is Maya. 5 beautiful slokas. Maya Panchakam. Aghatita Ghatita Patiyasi Maya. But there has to be a basis for that. You cannot just create out of nothing. We see a snake where there's no snake, but something is there. There are all these things in the Jagat. We call them Vyavaharika Satyam. They are there and yet they are not there. This is also Maya. Maya, we started by saying, is Sat Asadbhyam Anidvachaniyam. Starting from there, everything is Anidvachaniyam. So one level of Satyam, Pratibhasika Satyam, Jiva Shishtam Satyam. At the next level, Ishwar Shishtam Jagat. Ishwar Shishtam Satyam called Vyavaharika Satyam. But when you understand what Shastra is trying to tell us, even that is only relative Satyam. Just like the Pratibhasika Satyam, Vyavaharika Satyam is also relative Satyam only. Subject to change. On further vichara, on further data collection, on further analysis, that is also subject to change. Just like Pratibhasika Satyam is based on Vyavaharika Satyam, therefore Vyavaharika Satyam also has to be based on something else. What is Vyavaharika Satyam based on? On the absolute Satyam. One that is unchanging. Called Paramarthika Satyam. One has to move from one to the other. One has to be able to see in that snake, it is only a rope. In that rope, one should be able to see, therefore, Ishvara system, order of Ishvara. So when I'm able to see Ishvara in everything, I'm able to see that Ishvara not only in things which look beautiful, which look extremely pleasant, but also in things which are not so nice to look at or feel or see or touch. That can happen only with knowledge. That all that is here is only Ishvara. All the Bheda disappears. The varieties that are there, they disappear. That leaves a little confusion because we are trying to examine the Satyam of three things. Satyam of myself, Satyam of this Jagat, and Satyam of Ishvara. We have established the Satyam of this Jagat by saying it is only Nama Rupa Prasarana. And that basis for that is one Ishvara. Now we need to examine. And therefore what we've done is we've removed all the differences in this Jagat. No Bheda left. No Swagata Bheda. No Vigata Bheda. No Bheda within the group. No Bheda amongst the groups. There is none. There's only one Ishvara. And then we fight like children. Bheda between Ishvara and Ishvara. How can there be Bheda between Ishvara and Ishvara? Swami G's famous quote, don't argue that there's only one Ishvara. The moment you do that, it becomes my Ishvara against your Ishvara. There is only Ishvara. Ishvara is the order. The physical order, the psychological order, the cosmological order. The order of dharma, the order of karma. And therefore the order of janma. There's only Ishvara. I still exist. If you say there's only Ishvara, what am I? I still exist and I seem to be different from everybody else and everything else in the Jagat. I and non-I. How do I explain that? If it is Maya, which is creating in magic some kind of an illusory vision, which is neither Satyam nor Asat. How can I get rid of it? Is that the problem? If it is magic, Mayam tu prakritim vidyat, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. If you don't understand that magic where he puts a coin through the bottle, you can only request the magician, please explain how he did this to me. And once he explains, it becomes so simple. Oh, I should have seen this. Like, sometimes small children will come up to the parents and say, they've learned something in school, some puzzle, they'll ask parents, can you do this? Parents have not seen that puzzle before. So they try to palm you off, saying, no, I'm busy now. We'll talk about it later. But he insists. So they sit and try, it doesn't work. Says, give up. You don't want to say give up. But maybe you become magnanimous and say, okay, I give up. Then he shows you. As a child at first, it is not very difficult to understand. And then once he shows that, oh, it's so simple. So we go to the mine. Please explain to me this magic. This whole Jagat is magic. Aghatita ghatita patiyase maya. And then you study Maya. Oh, now I understand. It's not as easy as a small square puzzle that the child brought to you. But because it seems to go against everything you thought you knew. But then when Ishvara, through the Guru, points out that your error starts with your saying, I. That I is not this body, mind, sense complex. This body, mind, sense complex is part of the same Jagat that I just explained to you as being Maya. And yet I exist. something is still there, even if I am physically able to take out the body means complex, add it to the Jagat. I'm still there. I have not gone anywhere. Nor has the Jagat gone anywhere. All that has happened is I've got an understanding of the Jagat. And because I have been looking at the Jagat and saying, in this Jagat, I am the Bhokta. Therefore, I am the Karta. Kru dhatu, trach pratyaya becomes kar, and first person singular becomes karta. First vibhakti singular becomes, nominative singular becomes karta. I am the karta. Karta I am, but I am not the karta. That is where the error is. I am the karta. Karta I am not. Sorry, karta I am not the karta. This karta, bhokta, samsari is a product of Maya, product of ajnanam. This karta is based on all the karakas. Karta does an action for which he needs a karma, he needs a karana, he needs all of the other karakas. I am the karta because I am the agent who did the karya, karma. What did he do? With what did he do? For what did he do? For whose benefit did he do? From where did he do? All of these karakas are vyavaharika. This vyavaharika satyam also has to be based on another absolute satyam. Parimarthika satyam. An absolute satyam is absolute because it will never change. When we use words like never, immediately the thought that comes to mind is, in time it will not change. Neither in time nor in space, because neither time nor space exist independently of that absolute satyam. So at one level we understand saying satyam is that doesn't change, was the same in the past, the same now, the same will be the same in the future. But this is trikalatitaha. It's not subject to time in any way, not limited by time in any way. This is what he calls sakshi. This Satchidananda Atma, which he calls sakshi, for which sakshitvam is not an attribute. Just like ghatatvam is an attribute of ghata, jivatvam is an attribute of jiva, ishvaratvam is an attribute of Ishvara, Suguna Brahman. But where I, Atma, Satchidananda Brahman is concerned, there can be no attribute. Then what is Sakshi? Negation. Not Karta, not Bhokta, not any of the other things. It is. That isness is Satchidananda Brahman. You. So when he calls it Sakshi, it's only a negation. Ishvara Shrishtam Jagat is Vyavaharika. Born of the Pancha Pramana. But based on one unchanging absolute Satyam. In this examination, we have seen this Jagat as Vyavaharika Satyam. But we still have a little challenge with what is Jiva? He comes up with the next verse, verse 16. Can you display 16? Sakshina Purato Bhati.
Sakshina Purato Bhati.
Lingam Dehena Sanyutam.
Lingam Dehena Sanyutam.
Chitichaya Samaveshat.
Chaya Samaveshat.
Jivasyad Vyavaharika.
Jivasyad Vyavaharika.
Asya Jivatmamaropat.
Asya Jivatmamaropat.
Sakshinyapyavabhasate.
Sakshinyapyavabhasate.
Avrutautu Vinashtayam.
Avrutautu Vinashtayam.
Vedhe Bhate Payati Tat.
Vedhe Bhate Payati Tat.
That Maya is the hetu for the appearance of Jagat, you've seen. And in this Jagat, the Jiva goes through cycles of pain, of grief, of unpleasantness, interspersed with small Sukha, Sukha, Sukha. There is Dukha, 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 Sukha, Sukha, Dukha, 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 Sukha, Sukha, Sukha. That is Jiva. This is described in this verse. Sakshinaha Purato Bhati Lingam Dehena Sanyutam Chitichaya Samaveshat Jivasyad Vyavaharika. This immutable Sakshi, that is Tadatmyam, with the Linga Sharira. We've seen that earlier. Which seems to imbue it with life. And with the Chitichaya, which gives it the individuality. So you have Sakshinaha Purato Bhati. Because of the close association with Sakshi, this Jiva shines. The Linga Sharira shines as a Jiva. And because of the Tadatmyam of the Linga, earlier we talked about Ahankara, with the Sharira, and with the Chitichaya, Samavesha, when the Chitichaya associates with this, tadatmam is there, we get the vyavaharika jiva. Samaveshat jivasyat jivahasyat vyavaharika. Being close to the chitichaya, tadatmya with chitichaya, and with the sharira, body, sthula sharira, we get this whole empirical jiva, a self which is embodied, an individual. We have an empirical embodied self. The I, which we call jiva. It is that I, this jiva, which thinks of itself as the karta bhokta. It is the same jiva which appears as though it is born. It goes through all the changes. Jayate, asti, vardhate, viparinimate, apakshiyate, vinashyati, and dies. This apparent changes from birth to death, not knowing what is before and what is after. This jiva becomes the individual. Sakshinaha purato bhati lingam dehena sanyutam chitichaya samaveshat jivaha syat vyavaharika. Vyavaharika, we said, is the Ishvara system. You can't deny it. It is there. I cannot deny I am there. But through understanding only one can see the nature of the jiva. It leads to a very interesting question. Nanu, if this is so, then a doubt can arise. This embodied self, mityatvat, being mithya, the embodied self has no possibility of moksha. We struggle pandrom. Only for moksha, no? This, what is going to get moksha? Who are we trying to get moksha for? This embodied empirical jiva cannot get moksha because it is mithya, not real. Okay. Then what else is left? There's only Sakshi left. Everything else is mithya. But Sakshi doesn't need moksha. Sakshi is also already mukta. So if this cannot get moksha, the empirical jiva cannot get moksha, Sakshi doesn't need moksha, why am I studying all this? Why is the Shastra there? What is it trying to say? I might as well go and enjoy myself. Ram kritva dhritam pibet. Go and enjoy, borrow, enjoy life. There is something wrong with the argument, obviously. But this is the face of the argument. In fact, all these Purva-Pakshi arguments are worth going through in some detail. Empirical jiva cannot be freed. It is empirical, it is mithya. The only other entity we've been studying, we thought we knew, is Sakshi, which does not need moksha. Why do I need Shastra? He says, therefore all these scriptures, all these Upanishads are all waste. But the problem is, this embodied Sharira called Jiva, Sthula Shukshma Sharira, is only a superimposition. There is no real self on Sakshi, on Satchidananda Atma. So you say, Asya Jivatvam. Jivatvam is the attribute. Aropat Sakshinaha api avabhasate. Aropat, Maya Shakti. It exists itself, it reveals itself, it shines only because of the aropa on the Sakshi. You cannot separate them. We've seen that Tadatmyam is there. But if you can imagine an independent empirical jiva, it will have no existence. Everybody imagine a non-existent empirical jiva. It's only a superimposition, aropa. Jiva will have jivatvam. But jivatvam is an attribute, and jiva without jivatvam doesn't exist. And jivatvam, an attribute, cannot exist without jiva. It's called anyonyashraya, mutual dependence. But the problem is, jivatvam is superimposed on the Sakshi. So there's a confusion between Jiva and Satchidananda Atma, all doing the Maya. See, many times we will talk about Veda. We'll talk about subject-object differentiation. Ultimately, we say there is no subject-object differentiation. That Maya creates variety, differences. Maya also creates illusory non-difference. Ultimately, we have to come to the stage of understanding that there is only Brahman. Ekameva advitya Brahman. Therefore, any Veda is not possible. But because Maya creates its multiplicity through its Vikshepa Avarana Shakti, it looks like so many. This superimposition is false. Sakshi is unaffected. But our takeaway is that Jivatvam is on the Sakshi. It's like you have a crystal, clear crystal. And the background color gets superimposed on the crystal, giving an apparent perception that the crystal is colored. And that color changes every time you change the background. Crystal remains unaffected. Crystal remains clear crystal. If that knowledge is there, even when you're seeing a red crystal or a blue crystal or that this is only a superimposition, then our knowledge is crystal clear. That's all. It's only that knowledge. That jivatvam, which has anyonya ashraya with the jiva, is superimposed on the sakshi like the color of the background on the crystal. And that creates the illusion that the crystal is colored. Asya jivatvam aropat. Jivatvam is aropita on sakshi. Sakshini api avabhasate. That jivatvam comes alive, is there, and therefore gives the idea of I as the doer, I as the bhokta, I as the guilty, I as the hurt. Then what? Avritau to vinashtayam. When this avriti can be seen, you cannot eliminate it, although it says vinashtayam. But when the idea of the avriti is seen to be false, then vedhe bhate payati tat apayati. When we can remove the background material of different colors, we can see the crystal for what it is. No Veda. There's no blue crystal, there's no red crystal, there's no orange crystal. In the case of a crystal, we can show by taking out the background cloth or whatever you have. That is why it is the idea of tadatmyam. When there is this superimposition because of tadatmyam, you cannot physically separate it out. Like you can do a background material against a crystal. So how do we get rid of this aropa? Only through jnanam. Why did the aropa come in the first place? Maya. And what is Maya? Ajnanam. How are we going to remove ajnanam? Jnanam. How are we going to remove darkness? Light. That's why jnanam is called light. That's why in many places you will find Aditya Bhagavan is equated to the ultimate jnanam. Avritau tu vinishtayam vede bhate apayati tat. Tat is here the aropitam jivatvam. Falsely aropitam jivatvam is apayati, disappears. When this knowledge becomes clear, crystal clear, then in our minds that various colored crystals disappear and only crystal clear knowledge remains. Clear one. It is the recognition of the truth despite seeing something which looks contrary. Despite seeing the colored crystal, I recognize the crystal for its intrinsic colorlessness. When you see the snake, it is pratibhasika. Can be removed through throwing more light. That illusion comes, the pratibhasika satyam is seen because of poor light. Bring in more light, that disappears. What remains is vyavaharika satyam, the rope. Now bring in more light in the form of jnanam. That rope also, as a vyavaharika satyam, vanishes. And the beauty is it vanishes along with the jnanam. Nothing is left. All that is left is Satchidananda Atma, called Sakshi, the Dṛk. Dṛgeva natu drishyate. This false superposition on Sakshi, therefore, can be removed only through the removal of the Avarana Shakti. So between the seer and the object seen, the difference disappears. And the difference between the Jiva and the Sakshi also disappears. You first create conditions under which we can see that the Jiva is falsely aropita on the Sakshi. Then through Jnanam, we see that there is no difference. There's one more difference we see. One is within the Sharira. We saw in one of the previous verses, Antar Dṛg-dṛśya-viveka bhedam. That disappears. But there's another one. Bahishya Brahma Sargayoho. That also has to go. Between Brahman and this empirical Jagat, this is also empirical. Also has to go. Here again, the whole Jagat we see, but we don't see Brahman. The Brahman seems to be merged with the Jagat. And some confusion comes because in Upanishads also they say, having created the Jagat, Brahman entered. Tat srishtva pravishat. It's only upacharika. There is a difference in the perception only. This is Tatha Sarga Brahmanoscha, taking up from that verse again. In the same way, Sarga Brahmanoscha Bhedam Avritya Tishtati. That sarga is empirical. Mithya. And Brahman is the only Satyam. That Vedam becomes clear. When Ya Shakti Tad Vashat Brahma Vikritatvena Bhasati. Like the superimposition of Jivatvam on Sakshi, this Jagat, which is subject to constant change, is also Aropita on Brahman, external to oneself. Tatha Sarga Brahmanoscha Bhedam Avritya Tishtati. That Veda exists because of Arupa. Ya Sakti Tad Vashat Brahma. Through the influence Vikritatvena Bhasate. The nature of the Jagat, which is subject to change, is imposed upon Brahman, which is changeless, attributeless. All Maya doing, Maya Karyamandi. Therefore, it looks like Brahman is changing. The attributes of Jagat is constant change. So that attribute, like Jivatvam was superimposed on Sakshi, is Vikritatvam, the quality of changing, is superimposed on Brahman. How we come to this important thing? If this is so, I understand this much. I understand that the Jivatvam is empirical. I understand that Jagat is empirical. But it is there. How do I get rid of it? It's all there because of Maya Shakti. Maya is creating this apparent attribute to Sakshi. That Sakshi itself, like I said, Sakshitvam, we superimpose on Atma. Jivatvam, therefore, we superimpose on Atma. Vikritatvam, we superimpose on Atma. And earlier we said it is impossible to separate physically. All of these, Jivatvam is not possible without Brahman. Vikritatvam is not possible without Brahman. So does that mean Brahman really has those attributes? Or is it an illusion, magic, created by Maya Shakti? If only I can get my hands on the Maya Shakti. If only the magician Mayavi will make me understand where am I missing that Maya? Where am I making an error in understanding what Maya is doing? then I can tell, oh, so simple. How do I do that? Only through understanding. Let's try and do the next verse also today. Then we can start with the other one from verse 20 from tomorrow, from next week. Can you put on verse 19? Atrapyavritinashena
Atrapyavritinashena
Āti Brahma Sargayoho
Vibhati Brahma Sargayoho
Vedastayor Vikarasyat
Vedasthayor Vikarasya
Sargena Brahmanik Vachit.
Dṛg-dṛśya Brahmani
The distinction between Brahman and the Jagat, phenomenal universe, becomes clear when the veiling power is understood. I was reading to you the other day from Viveka Chudamani 2 verses on Maya. In the third verse it says, Sarpa Brahmo Rajju Vivekata Yatha Vivekate Yatha Shuddhadvaya Brahma Vibodhanashaya Advaya Brahma Vibodhanashaya. When we understand this Maya Shakti, which is creating these kind of wrong differentiation, that's the only way we can gain this knowledge. Atrapya vritinashena, avritinashena. When the avriti is understood, you can't destroy, you only understand that there is avriti. Like any other puzzle, you only understand how the puzzle is done. Vibhati Brahma Sargayoho. The distinction between Brahman and the empirical universe can be seen. Vibhati. Vedastayor Vikarasyat. This difference mainly is that this adhikāritvaṃ belongs to the empirical Jagat. Varieties belong to the empirical Jagat. Changes belong to the empirical Jagat. Brahmani Kvachit, never one Brahman. Brahman is unchanging, akhanda, partless. Now only I have to understand how I am this Brahman. We will look at it in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om.